well-being throughout these hot summer months, that you will watch over us and guide us and bless all those in this meeting that have gathered to share the discussions and decisions that are made. For it is in your holy name we do humbly pray.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anybody sign the visitors? Okay, thank you. Okay. We have a very special visitor here tonight, and it is Miss Munier, and that is Matt's mom, and she just had knee surgery, and she's just getting out, and we welcome you, and we hope we have an interesting meeting for you to watch. Thank you for coming. Jeff Moran.
Council, Mayor, congratulations.
Thank you, Jeff.
I was at the safety meeting and talking about take-home cars, and one council member, former police officer, knows about using the J-Town take-home cars. I have some thoughts for you. I'll just recite them, give them a remark, and just remember when you talk about voting for something about the take-home cars, it's not only about retention of officers and getting new hires, it's about the voters. Should we subsidize the car use of people who live 25 miles away? Surely not in Hardin County like some other departments did, but that's a discussion that's worth having. Here, contract, is this year monetary opener on the contract? I don't know. The old contracts, you didn't have years you could bring up monetary things, as I recall. That was first on my mind. Wear and tear. When I got here in '94, I was in the first batch of laterals that came in, 4 of us. And my car lasted me 7 years, about 100,000 miles, give or take. And there were people who got new cars in my 7 years, got doubles. What didn't seem to be a part of the conversation is, what's the actual cost of the car? There's a lot of talk about mileage and paying a fee. What's the actual talk about the cost of the car? When do you change the oil on the car? When do you change the transmission fluid? All those things come into that baseline cost for maintaining the car. It shouldn't be as simple as just charging for gas, whether you put 15 gallons in a month and get a car to use free. There's got to be another equation to all that. The other is the lack of cops who live in J-Town. You know, the car driven out of the county problem would be lessened if there were more cops who lived within walking distance of this building. I thank the chief for discussion. I just asked about a person who's on the list. They're way down on the list, but they live right about 2 miles from here, and they work for a local department. Maybe if we thought about those people, we could save money on cars. And there's maybe some disagreement over what I'm going to tell you. You can ask for other facts. I happened to be in a meeting, and Durf had a dim view of giving the cops a take-home car in a contract if they complained about the amount of money he gave. The meeting I was in with the officers, that was mentioned. So when you have these conversations with what to do about it, remember that the cops are embedded with this, and there's some maybe past blood from this building to them over cars, which is not to say give them everything they want, but knowledge is power, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Reading of minutes, June 20th, 23.
I make a motion to approve the minutes, June 20th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Motion carried. General fund warrant number 1588.
I have a question about the cost on there.
Okay.
It might be something that I just missed last time. But on the leaks, I guess there's like a $2,165 charge to American Leak.
Leak detection.
But it's on there a few times, and I noticed there's 2 credits on there. Is that how many times they came out? Or is that like a different meter? Are there different meters there that they went and serviced? Or
Jimmy, you want to come up?
Well, and I can answer that. We probably charged it to the wrong account, Allison,
Okay,
and we took a credit to take it away. So if you look at it, there is 3 charges on there, but 2 of them the one negative offsets the one. So probably what happened was we put it to the wrong account and we were correcting it. And anytime we do that in our system, that's what occurs. But so the total cost, even though it looks like there's 3 charges there, one's a negative. So it's only $2,100 to do the leak detection. And Jimmy can explain.
2 charges, X amount of dollar to show up, and then by the hour from that point.
yeah, that's what I thought. I saw
There
there
was
were
more
2.
than one leak, wasn't there, Jimmy?
No, ma'am, we only found the one.
Under the flagpole?
Yes, ma'am, the
Okay.
circle, and that is fixed.
Has it
And I'll
been-
That was
talk
it?
more
No
later
more?
about updating you all at the end of the meeting
Oh,
with the
okay.
rest of that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's not 2 credits.
No,
Okay.
There's 3 charges on there and
Okay.
one of them's negative and 2 of them are positive. So it comes out to be a positive charge. I'm sorry. That's just the way our system does it and there's nothing we can do about it. We needed to get it to the right account.
Okay, I just wanted some clarification. Okay.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve general fund warrant number 1588.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Objections? Motion carried. Road fund warrant number 975.
Make a motion to approve road fund warrant 975 as distributed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Objections? Motion carried. First reading of ordinance number 1442, series 2023.
What is this all about?
We'll tell you.
Madam Mayor, Scott Thompson's here. He's the electrical inspector.
Would you like to come up, Scott, and explain to them what's going on?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Scott, the electrical inspector and director of the building department. We're actually kind of going through our ordinances to revamp them. The electrical was a little outdated. We're modifying some of the actual fees associated with commercial and residential.
We're raising them.
We're trying to simplify some things too. There's been a lot of complications with trying to get a permit and a lot of people don't really fill them out correctly. On the commercial end, we are adopting the state fees, which is a percentage of the cost. And then on residential, if you look at kind of the fee schedule, it becomes more user friendly. We're not really raising too much on the residential end.
Just commercial.
The potential of raising on the commercial end
Right.
is there because I felt we were extremely low too for what we were.
We're just come within what it should be.
Absolutely. So this is the first reading of adopting the new ordinance. We had to, I guess, abolish the old one and it was extremely outdated to incur the new charges along there. So if you want to take care of that.
Actually, we repealed the old ordinance. This one brings us up to date, as Scott said, and I will adopt that as a summary. I haven't read it because we haven't had the motion yet.
I was just gonna say, I make a motion for first reading of ordinance 1442, series 2023 by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Objections? Motion
Ordinance
carried.
relating to enforcement of Uniform State Building Code, providing for appointment of inspectors and fixing fees. Madam Mayor, this is a first reading and it takes no further action. I do want to apologize before anybody jumps on me about two misspellings in section 9 that appear on page 3. We were hastily trying to get this
Yeah.
out last Friday, weren't we?
I'm sorry for that.
No,
You trying to get out?
no, I wouldn't.
What?
Were you trying to get out? Is that what's the deal?
We were trying to get it done. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
Just got a question, just for the
Scott.
heck of it.
Yes.
What was the percentage before you charged and what's the percentage now?
It actually was not on a percentage basis before.
Just a flat fee before.
Our system, Chris had it kind of set up for circuits, receptacles. He had to count all that stuff up and what I was getting in our department was no one was filling these out. So, and then when I would get to the jobs, you do a commercial job and you'd have 350 circuits on there and they only charge you for 120 and you're counting it all. It got kind of complicated and
So now you're just gonna get the price from what he's paying? You're just gonna get how you gonna figure, you say it's gonna be based on the cost of the job?
yeah, so the electrical job. So just like on the HVAC at this point, and even on the building, you get an estimated cost of that job. It's an easy quote because they're under contract. And then wherever that breaks in is what percentage you pay. The lower the cost, the higher the percentage. It caps at 2% and then goes down to 1%.
Thank you.
I don't know. Do they have copies of the fee schedule?
They're attached to the.
Yeah, it was in the ordinance.
Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, any questions on that or any concerns, just let me know. Okay.
Thank you.
Fred, do I need to do anything more on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Next, I think Brian should come up about the jobs report, if you want to tell everybody about that.
Mayor, council, I always look forward to the opportunity to chat in front of you guys. Okay, in front of you, you have the quarterly, by ordinance, we have a quarterly report that's due for the jobs program and facade grant program. What you'll see is a brief explanation of what the jobs program is for the new council members, a brief explanation of it. And then the next page after that, these are all numbers reflective of the jobs for 2022, not 2023, but 2022 that were awarded. And the 25.3 million in occupational wages reported reflects only those taxes that we took the 0.5% and gave back. So actually that 25.3 million is reflective of 50.6 million of wages. These are all new wages in the job program. Those wages are then 1/2 of that percent is awarded back for $253,000. And the city also keeps $253,000 as well. One large company that was awarded roughly $90,000 will sunset in 6 months. So after 2023, they will no longer be in the program, and we will keep all of that. 2 new companies have been are expected to begin in 2024. One you've already approved. They just have to implement it starting in 2024. The other one will be coming before you in time, not yet ready.
Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Is the time frame on this October, November, December of 2022?
Actually, the jobs programs are a calendar year. So when they turn in their returns, that's for all of 2022.
Okay, so these numbers are for all of 2022.
All 22, sir.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't sure if it was just
the way that
quarter
happens
or
is
the whole year.
I get with Clarissa in Revenue Department. They pull the 4 quarters of returns. We look at those, and we normally get those at the end of January, roughly. And so we look at those in February and make those adjustments on once we pull that, we pull their numbers that they have to us. Anybody who's maybe they received refunds for not working in Jeffersontown, but they're working a hybrid model. We remove those from the equation and then issue a check afterwards.
Okay.
And it's not a real difficult, but it's not real easy either, but it's fine. It works out real well for us. And then next page after that, the facade grant, a program it's a good program. It's not utilized much. And I would tell you that only 2 businesses made applications in 2023 or on this one. This is our fiscal year on this one. So for last fiscal year, only 2 businesses made applications. Only one of those businesses actually used it. This coming year, though, I'm expecting 3 to make applications. And then after that, you'll see a 6-month economic impact. In the mayor's first 6 months, we've had nearly 500 new jobs arrive. We've also are expected to retain 560 jobs that would otherwise not be coming here or would not be staying here. They would move on. And that's because of our strong relationships with the State Economic Development Committee as well as Metro Economic Development Committee. And that's it. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, Brian.
No questions? No questions?
You know, I should know this. What kind of a look are we looking for facade? Are we looking for something that's going to the same look, or how's that work?
Facade grants, the facade by definition is simply the exterior of the building. And there's been a previous mayor thought the facade was just the front of the building, but by definition, it's the sides of it or the exterior of it. But the intent originally was to the facade, whatever was facing the streetscape or the street area. However, I think in our city attorney will be first to tell you that when the law is what the law is and the ordinance is what it is, we don't read intent.
Public facing.
Yeah.
It's the public facing area of the building. For instance, the Triangle Talent Building, it public faces on 3 sides.
I guess my question is, are all the new building, are all the people that take advantage of this supposed to have like the same facade? Because,
Oh, I'm sorry. What happens is when they apply to us, there's a committee comprised of myself, city attorney, and Mr. Fox, city clerk. We review the application and then either award or make our award is our recommendation is to move it to city council at that point, or we make changes. So,
And they have to have
yes,
so much, they have
They
to
have to pay
spend so much.
$20,000.
Yeah,
If they spend
$20,000.
$20,000, we give them back $5,000.
and they have to, yes, and it basically they have to have a minimum of 2 of the, and it could be painting and caulking. It could be a window and a door or any combination thereof. But they don't always reach the $5,000 threshold that they would get. But as long as they cannot start before approval, and then once they're done, they submit the receipts, invoices back to the city clerk, and then he takes it from there.
You like how the program's working? You like the results? You like the
I
results?
would like, yes, it's when utilized by constituents, it's very good. I will say that with streetscape currently going on, my expectation is that you will have more. That's why I mentioned 3 businesses that will be doing it, but I expect there may be more who say, well, everything looks so nice. I think I'll paint the front of my building now. And that helps the entire community here.
Well, Brian, do you think that there should be 2 levels to that? Like, if somebody just wants to paint their building, it's not going to probably cost 20,000. Maybe
No.
do a second tier, like 10,000, and we give you
Well-
2,500 or.
Well, no, it's 25% of the project. So if they spend 10, they get 2,500. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's not a set.
Yes, and they could literally spend $1,000 on bushes and wood or whatever it's going
We
to
give you
help,
25%.
and then it'd be $250.
Okay, that's
I
good.
think the businesses are not aware of it, is what I think. I don't think it's ever been promoted. Therefore, we don't have much usage of that program.
That's a question I had. When new businesses are looking coming in, is that something, Brian, that economic development rolls out
Typically,
to a possible new
when
business?
businesses do approach us, they ask us for incentive, what's available.
Okay.
And we talk about the jobs program. Typically downtown, you don't have, they're not eligible because they don't meet the criteria.
Right.
But the facade grants, they do. And I will say that now there's a cap on it. And by budget, we can only give out awards of $50,000 in any calendar year. So basically $250,000 worth of renovations would have to be done before we reach that cap. But that's where we are with it now. If we saw an influx of it or a need, then we would approach the city clerk and mayor's office to say we may need to tweak it. But at this point, it doesn't seem to be so.
Is that just like certain streets in J-Town?
Businesses, and typically, no, it's not. It's not just, it's businesses, period.
Not
So
just the square?
Commercial.
I will tell you that last year, before I was here, three grants went to, I think it was a Plantside Drive, was it not?
Okay.
Yeah, Plantside Drive had three businesses over there.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't ever remember seeing anything about that when we opened the beach. As far
I
as
didn't tell you.
refurbishing stuff. You know, like the wine place, it needs some work outside now. That might be an incentive for them to do that.
And I don't want to speak for, Matthew would probably have a better input on this one, but because he speaks during the streetscape. I do know that some businesses have spoken to Matthew about possibly where the drive's coming in, maybe doing something different. Was the beach one of those? Did the beach bring it up though? Because they're going to have to do something. And I thought that Danny, who's I thought mentioned something to me about that. I haven't seen any paperwork. But certainly we want the fronts of the businesses to look as nice as possible as well.
I think it's a great thing.
And we think it would be acceptable program. We don't have any design standards that force them to say this type of window, or we don't use it. It's really up to them to do it. You have to use those certain level eligibility from window doors, awnings, signage.
And now on some of these buildings that are, you know, old, are there certain things that they cannot change? I know there used to be something with.
I'll have to
Louisville
ask
Metro.
city attorney will probably have to speak to that because I don't believe we have any.
Okay. Okay. So they could change, you know.
Yeah.
anything.
Only impact them if they're trying to use any federal money, on that house rate, i.e. tax credits or something that makes, then they do have to follow some Department of Interior standards on those windows.
Okay.
Metro Louisville does have a similar committee that handles that.
Yeah.
Historic district, but we don't have that here.
So if somebody came and wanted to do this program and they said, okay, I'm going to paint my building pink.
Right. That's what I meant. Like one of these
And they
old
filled out
Try to
everything.
not, we try to
Because there's
discourage
no
that.
criteria.
just kind of keep the facade on some of the older buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, yellow.
Yellow
I think
is a real problem to me right now.
we could do, Mayor, we could do all the rest in yellow too.
Oh, boy.
Well, like
You know what? I think I have finally convinced them that they don't like that color yellow. I've been pretty strong on that.
Like when
Are there
Vivarosi's
any further
make a
questions on the
vacation.
jobs program or facade grant program?
Thank you, Brian.
No, I will say, let me ask you, let me part with one thing. Just for clarification, because some things are coming out in the Jerrytown happenings and Facebook and social media regarding activity in the downtown area. I will tell you that the mayor's office is well aware of the activity downtown as far as businesses leaving or coming in. And it's not our intent to withhold information from you, but we have agreements with the new restaurants coming in not to steal their thunder as far as when they want to have a press release, and we ask only that they coordinate that with the mayor's office so that she can be aware of that press release because she can release something as well. So any businesses that are doing that, we know about it, but we just can't say that. Sometimes it's because even a lease isn't signed yet, or a business is wanting to come in, but it just cannot be known yet. So we're not withholding information. We are being transparent. But there's some things that only the mayor and city attorney will know. Okay, so just know that they're well aware of it, but so, yes.
I would like to add to that. I want this council to know that I'm really working hard on economic development. And yesterday, I and Matt and Brian took the senior citizens bus over and picked up potential clients that may want to do business in J-Town and gave them a private tour, and they have a little money and they hit it off well with me. Hopefully they're going to do business in J-Town. So I'm really working on economic development here, guys.
Yay.
I can speak to that. This lady, she's working it. She is working her magic. Yes, she is.
Oh,
Thank you,
Brian.
council. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mayor.
Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, committee reports. Trina,
Administration has no report.
Kevin,
Mayor, planning and zoning met earlier, reference Jeffersontown downtown development strategy. After discussion, the committee has voted for now to table any further discussion from our area until economic development, they can meet to discuss it on their end.
thank you. Vince,
Public Works, I don't think I hear any,
Nothing.
No report.
No
report.
Does Jimmy, would you come up? I think Jimmy's got something on Public Works.
Mayor, City Council, hope everybody's doing well. I want to bring that $1 million question to you. So it's going to be like Gilligan's story. Sit back, and you're going to hear a little tale. And Allison, thanks for bringing that up. And Billy for pulling me out of that water on that bill. We started with a American water leak because I seen the urgency in the mayor's eyes when she wanted to know what was going on. I finally got the invoice like the end of March, and I saw that MSD charge on there, and that was my red flag. But mayor's urgency told me kick every rock, turn it over, and find out what's going on. So we did a water leak test. We did find one by the flags in the circle. Unfortunately, wasn't the meter we were looking for. And as we get through this, I had a little water company send me a field rep, and we went through every meter because Skyview football field is also part of Skyview. There's 2 meters there, 2 on the north side of the park, and 2 on the entrance side and south side. We found a meter that wasn't hooked to anything. And so thankfully, Mayor Pike set me up with Vince down, little water company. This guy is phenomenal. And he's worked with me daily on this stuff. And I said, hey, we got a meter. So my guess is he knew that somehow, and I'll never be able to answer this question, how the splash park was hooked to a domestic line, which means you pay your MSD charges. They're triple the rate of what your water is. And so he agreed, let's simplify that. And I said, well, a 2-inch meter is going to cost me $5,000. We've got one that's not in use. Can I use it? And he goes, well, sure. I'm like, all right, that's saving of $5,000. So we dug and put the line in ourselves, completed it Friday. Plumber came this morning, hooked it up. So I called Vince back. I'm like, hey, we're ready to switch everything. And his locator showed that certain meter was on the south side. And I'm like, no, there's only 2 there. He was showing 3. And I said, we have 2 on the north, 2 on that. Jimmy, can I send you a field rep this week just so they could plot it? And I said, absolutely. So hopefully this week sometime,
You'll have it.
Splash Park's going to be in full, bathrooms ready to row, and hopefully our numbers will come down.
Thank you, Jimmy.
So,
Good job. Well done. That has been nightmare up here.
Is there any possibility of damage under the flags because of the water leak?
No, it was actually, you get the concrete circle where the flag is. It was just outside of it.
So there's not undermining the water or anything like that?
Well, if you know Skyview Park, when they built it, it's on a bed of rock.
Yeah, okay.
And ironically enough, this brass line was sitting on a shelf of rock. So it was a minor leak because I did check with Vince how much money we're getting back. It wasn't that major. And we're like, how come it never came to the surface? Well, it probably just traveled that rock on all the way to the back to the walking path that goes around that field, where it just travels underground. So it was very educational. I've got one more rock I'm trying to unturn. And I just talked to Scotty about this. He's got a lot of knowledge of it. As we're putting our line in, there's a fire hydrant in the woods between Skyview Park and Estes Trucking. Who knew there's a fire hydrant in the middle of the woods? It's leaking.
And so who's being charged for it?
And ironically enough, beside it is a ditch that takes that water straight to a creek. We'd never see it. So I called Vince. Most hydrants are metered. And I'm like, is this metered? He goes, no. I'm like, well, it's got a leak. Who's it belong to? There is a gate on the Estes side. It tells me that when they, back in the day, built, it wasn't Estes, I can't remember who it was, that's a fire service for the trucking company. But I'm trying to get to the bottom. The water can't answer me. I called Estes Property Management. He said, oh gosh, I'll have to try to find blueprints. And so Scotty and I talked, we'll look for some here and just to make sure it's not on J-Town and that it's not metered somewhere. And that's what this water is. So we won't quit until we get to the bottom of it one day.
Water bill is quite interesting around here.
Oh my gosh. It's been crazy.
Hey, Jimmy, I've got a question
Yes,
about
sir.
I guess it was with the residential meter that was put in at the splash park and that's what got us all those MSD charges, even though it was getting recycled and put out on the field.
It's called a domestic line.
Or domestic line.
When you do potable water, toilet, that's where you get your MSD charge. And so, and that's why my statement a few minutes ago, I don't know how that passed, but how it ever got from day one to where that was, because that's a 4-inch line. That's a major line. Where like I'm just taking a 2-inch line down to the bathroom. So the bathroom, you'll pay your MSD charges, but that water quantity should be very small. So it shouldn't be absurd as you would a 4-inch line feeding your splash park. But yes, the splash park is the 4-inch line provides the water for the splash park. What goes in the ground, I'm country. Fred, you're country. I call it a cistern. I don't know what else they're calling it. It captures that water. There in turn, they irrigate the field with that. So in my process with where I'm right now is having Vince switch that big 4-inch main over to be called irrigation. That way you're not paying these MSD charges.
Well, and that's my question is, so if we were paying for MSD charges, but we weren't using service, is there any way to get?
I've tried bike
The 8 years of
flips.
I
money
had a
back.
meeting with Mayor Greenberg,
Yeah.
and we talked about that in the meeting. I think Matt was there and Fred was there, and he is working on that to try to get us some money back from the MSD charges.
Great.
So we've been doing this, we've been for 5 years on
No,
that.
Probably more.
Longer than
Probably
that,
since
since
got installed.
2014.
Huh?
Since 2014 is when it was
Well,
put in.
that was put in like that, but it was shut off during COVID and all that.
Jimmy,
Sure.
when this is completed, will we be able to do the irrigation like we should be able to do?
It would be as our first intentions, minus the MSD charges. Yeah. Because we went through a period of time, the pumps were down in there. And I think that's what the thinking was up here at City Hall was that the pumps were down, so they're irrigating and it's just taking more water. When in truth, we missed the MSD charges on those bills. And that's what stands out like sore thumb.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll ever be able to get those original MSD charges back, but
No.
maybe like the last 12 months or something. I mean,
Anything we get is
paid
a
9
bonus.
years worth.
You know, it is
We
it's
get
this
a
point.
bonus.
So we're looking in the future and hopefully that we rectify this and kids can be happy and play in the water.
Well, I want to thank Bill and for taking care of the finances of it. I want to thank you for digging into it and finding out where it was. Thank you.
I was going to say.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you all. One thing before I go, you know, with my job, I get to travel around all the complaints of 7 Industrial Park. And this new guy over here, I see him around the industrial park a lot. And I'm not used to that. So is there a restaurant you're hiding from me that I need to know about? Or we're good. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thanks.
Pam Hickey.
Parks and Rec has nothing.
Pam Ware.
I had a safety committee meeting about police take-home cars, and I don't have a lot to report on that. They're gonna get some numbers together for us to look at and decide what would be best. So we just kind of had a discussion about it. And so we'll have another meeting.
Okay.
Have more information. I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is the garbage cans that are on Billtown Road at those apartments, I go by there all the time, they're on the sidewalk, or is that still kind of being looked at? Do you know?
I don't know. No one's made a complaint to me, but I think that there was one back last year, if I remember correctly.
Back in January.
Pardon?
I think it was back in January.
Well,
Mary.
they wanted to bring them up to the, didn't they want to have a roped off area in the parking lot?
Yeah, it was the parked cars
Yes.
on the inside. It's technically in the easement of the road, and the request was to move those parked cars the residents there, so they could have the garbage collection
That would be
Garbage on
Ron,
the
wouldn't
road,
it?
on their parking
on
lot.
their parking spot.
So
Yeah,
the garbage people could come through one end, pick them up and go out the other end.
yeah.
I think they were going to get a letter. The landlords were all going to get a letter saying on this day you don't park your car.
Yeah, I thought we were going to reach out because there's like 7 different landlords.
And I was just wondering,
Pam-
that's something you don't know about right now. I get that, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't even remember it, much less know about it. That was in January.
Yeah.
I did get
Sure.
through.
I was
I
gonna
did
say,
good
there
to
was
get
a-
through that month.
There was a lot going on then, huh?
I was just curious if the letter went out.
I was ready to resign on January the 21st.
You're finding uncashed checks in rooms and stuff.
Yeah. I will see. I don't know who takes care of that. Scott, who would take care of that? Would it be Ron?
Yeah, he was going to send letters. Yeah.
And they were sent, as far as I know, and I can be honest. As far as I know, they had something with the Rumpke, they couldn't move the cars. And I thought they had a timeline to get the garbage cans off the easement.
Are they
It
doing
was
it?
still
Pam?
going on Billtown Road, but I'll confirm with that. I
Well,
know
I go by there all the time,
I
and the
know it
garbage
looks-
cans are laying all over the sidewalk. And
Yeah.
we had the woman come up here that says she can't get it up
Put it
that
up there.
hill
Yeah.
for Rumpke to go along Billtown Road to pick the trash up. It's an incline.
It's a little.
Yeah, and I
incline
think
there.
if you look at like the map on Logic, those cars are parked up. They're parked right next to Billtown Road, right in between the greenery, and that's technically the easement. So they're parked on Billtown Road, and if we can get them off, then that'll be the spot that they could essentially put the trash cans, so they're not going up on the green easement on the grass.
So
would
I've
solve
already
the
sent
city's
a letter
problem.
to the landlords, but I don't know.
I know all the letters went out. We hadn't received very many complaints except for when they take their mattresses and stuff out.
Yeah, that's
They
bad.
don't, and so, but nothing's really hit our office, I don't think, lately. But I'll talk to Ron in the morning.
Check with Ron, see if he mailed those, if he got any
I
response
know we
back.
did mail them. I know, because like I say, each one is its own owner
Right.
and,
Over 8 owners.
Oh, it's different owners.
yeah.
Was that one?
And it is a troubled spot, so.
Couldn't get up the hill. Yeah.
I was just curious.
I have a question. Speaking of mattresses,
In your thing. yeah.
speaking of mattresses, is people in this town evidently don't realize they can't put mattresses and furniture out without covering it in plastic.
Just mattresses.
They got to call. Yeah. Call Rumpke too.
They have to call.
They have to call, but it also has to be
Yeah.
covered in plastic.
Yes.
Yes.
And a lot of people they don't realize they have to call and they don't realize it has to be in plastic. As a matter of fact, I sent in something a couple weeks ago because somebody had an old couch laying out for a couple of weeks. Is there any way we can put something out in our,
Here's how
I've
it
seen Mark
works.
post it several times, haven't you, Mark?
When it's-
About large objects.
Yeah, and then also I think Pam, are you talking like maybe put something in when we have
In
our
the
blurb in
newspaper?
the J-Town magazine,
J-Town magazine.
like a
was
friendly reminder or something like that.
something
Yeah.
was-
Contact
Because-
Rumpke to
This is a
don't
self-
leave your trash out.
This is a self-healing thing. When they sit it sitting out there 2 or 3 weeks and it hadn't been picked up, they call up here and then we tell them what they got to do to fix it.
Yeah.
And they'll eventually fix it. I don't think
A
it's
lot of
up to
those
us to tell them
people
how to-
aren't interested.
I knock on their door.
And then we
And the
send
neighbors
photos.
Well, okay, there you
They
go.
don't-
If you see it sitting out there, go tell them.
go knock on their
Except
door?
on
No, I don't want to
apartment,
get
you don't know
shot.
who's-
No.
We do that.
Apartments I
We do
don't,
that once
but-
we get enough complaints.
Yeah.
We do knock on their door.
Right, right.
And they tend to move it pretty quick, but
I try to be nice and say, with the grass, if I see it, I say, you know what, I'd love to cut this for you. Only be $300. Do you want me to cut it or do you want to cut it?
absolutely. So, I
They
say,
usually say, I'll cut it.
yeah, a lot of it is, if the people that are either the owners or the renters, either moving out, things of that nature, some people just don't care.
They don't care.
And,
But I will try to put something in the next paper.
yeah, and, awareness is everything. It really is. So hopefully if we can increase it 5%, that's better than anything.
Mhm.
Right.
Well,
They're
that's
very
what-
lucky around here that we even pick that up like we do. Because other citizens in Jefferson County do not have that privilege.
Yeah.
And they only get it picked up once ever so often when they have garbage day. And it's up to that owner to get rid of their property, So our citizens are very lucky
Yeah,
that we
large
offer
item
it.
pickups is a nice thing that you don't have to ship it, take it somewhere. They'll actually take it, pick it up at your home.
Right, right. Anyway.
Anything else?
Well, the only last thing I have to say is I love the red doors.
You love her. Oh, thank you. I
It's
guess
nice
you
to
noticed
say,
I kind
just
of
go through the
been
red doors.
balking the fire department and trying to put some of our buildings, painting them the same color and try to be in some kind of uniform with our fire department that's done and those colors and try to stay in that. So that's what I'm trying to do. And the FOP, I think it will look nice. And I guess y'all saw the chamber is getting painted as well.
Oh, is it? I
Uh-huh,
didn't see
yes.
that.
So,
Yay.
Are
anyway,
the front doors here red?
not yet.
Oh, you're gonna paint them red.
I did downstairs. I don't know what's going to be out
Oh, I
front.
didn't
I had
see
to talk to Maddie. I have a heart attack. But anyway, we'll have
want-
to discuss the doors.
Does he want like a yellow door?
I don't know what he wants. I don't know.
That's all I have.
I just want to be able to walk in and out the front door so that people keep coming downstairs and getting confused and don't know where they go. So I can't wait till the plaza opens out front. Next will be Mark Bloom.
No report from finance.
That's it for you?
That's it.
Boy,
Hallelujah.
that's a first.
I mean, if you want, I
No, that's okay.
come up with some stuff. I can think.
Allison Head.
No reports for legislative.
Okay. Tim Hall.
Jimmy, I wanted to thank you for the update on that and digging into that. You just keep on unpacking more and more as you look into that water park. You accepted the challenge and I think you're having a little fun with it right now. It sounds like you got a good cohort there helping you out. So you're not fighting the government. They're actually helping
Oh, they're
you.
pretty good. They're good to work with.
So
Jimmy's doing his
thank you.
version of Where's Waldo.
Right. Brian, I wanted to thank you for this report. I know it takes a little while to get all those numbers, and this is last year. So now we have a starting point to see see how much better we can do this coming year. So, oh, it is through June 30th. Okay, so the first 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Fourth quarter.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And then from what I heard earlier in past discussions, I think we have an economic development meeting on August 1st before the next council meeting. Is that correct, Mr. Fox?
That's your call.
It's the 4 members that were not part of the meeting on the downtown development. It was the economic group.
Yeah.
Economic development. Are you bringing that person back, or so it's already set?
What's that date?
August 1st.
Yeah, but it needs to be set for 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So
Need to set an
Economic
economic
Development
development meeting for 5.
Committee would be,
Vince?
Oh,
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Allison.
Allison.
So
Mark, Allison, and Pam. Where?
So does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
All right.
Is it the same thing? Same meeting? Okay. So that's August 1st at 5. Okay.
I'll send out a
Okay.
special meeting notice the Friday before.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. That's all for economic development.
Okay. I would just like to thank all my department heads for coming to our meetings. I appreciate that y'all taking the time out and coming here. Appreciate everything y'all do. You're doing a good job and the city's moving forward. And thank you all, each one of you. Kevin,
Mayor, at this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second.
all in favor? Objections? Motion carried. Okay. That went smooth, didn't it? Billy, I got a check for you. Don't leave.
Looks like it has been.